Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. We are so thankful that you continue to join us as we educate and bring about awareness of the National Federation of the Blind, issues of the blind, and one of the special services that we have with the National Federation is NFB Newsline. It is a free audio service which allows print challenged, visually impaired individuals, some of those that are coping with different forms of dyslexia and even the deafblind, can access print publications. We have over 500 publications throughout the world. We have 17 international publications. We have 13 publications that are national publications, such as the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and a plethora of others. As also, we have what we call breaking news, and breaking news allows individuals to read publications such as the ABC, the BBC, the CNN, the Huffington Post, Fox News, and on and on and on. One of the latest publications that we have on there is called Root, R-O-O-T, and it's an ethnic publication, very informative, and I would say it's popular. So if you want to check that out, that's new. We also have 5 Spanish publications and also children publications. And Florence, you want to talk a little bit about the magazines?
I always start off with AARP, and AARP is a great magazine. It is part of Newsline categories. There's also Access World Magazine. There's Diabetic Forum. There is Reader's Digest, Guidepost Magazine. Ebony Magazine is also on NFB Newsline. There's WebMD. There is a magazine for every single person. And we access this information in various ways. And I particularly love using my iPhone. There we can also use our landline phone, our computers, Victor Reader Stream. There's also the Talking Book, and there's also digital player from the Talking Book and Braille Library. And then there is also another device that I like to call the A-Lady, Amazon. So there's various ways that we access this free information audio service.
Well, thank you, Florence. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention about the Stars and Stripes publication for the veterans. It's a very popular publication. Many veterans are reading it. So we want to make sure that it's out there as well. So we're going to take a short pause, and we're going to come back with a very special guest today and a very unique show. So stay tuned, and you'll find out exactly what we're talking about.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I am a CFP practitioner, and I happen to be blind. I rely on NFB Newsline to keep me current with Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
I love to read. I've always loved to read. Reading takes me places I'm not able to go by air, bus, or car. I plan on reading every newspaper Newsline has.
No more did I have to wonder about the rest of the story when disaster struck. I could open the local paper for that town and find out. And when I discovered that NFB Newsline could be a powerful tool for TV watching, listing all my favorite channels and what was on when, I was most definitely hooked.
We want to welcome you back for this segment of the National Federation of the Blind. And as we indicated before break, we have a very special guest today, and we're looking at this from a whole different lens. They were looking at it from a lens of a child that has grown up to be an adult with family members that were coping with the retinitis pigmentosa. This month we've been focusing in on retinitis pigmentosa, and we wanted to see what her viewpoints were as the RP that ravaged through her family skipped her. And we want to welcome to the show Shay Desiree McSwine. How are you doing, Shay?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Lee?
I'm doing fine. And it's such a pleasure to have you on with the spirit and energy that you have. And I know you have so much to share. And today, your mother, she is the co-host of this show. And we just want to hear from the both of you about how did you guys cope with this as Florence as a mother and you as a child, and how you felt about being the only child that did not have RP. So, Florence, let's get started.
All right. Now, it's kind of different talking to you from this end. It is because I actually carry the gene retinitis pigmentosa pretty dominant in my family. My dad, my grandfather, my brothers, and then on to me. So I've had 5 children, and out of the 5, 4 have retinitis pigmentosa, and you do not. Now,
Right.
it's been pretty dominant in our family. So let's start off with your early childhood.
Well, growing up, I didn't pay much attention to it growing up because it was pretty normal to me. Like, that was my normal. Like, it always seemed like things were pretty, as if like you guys could see, because you functioned and you moved around and you worked and you taught me, and it never really fazed me like that. Like, even from homeschooling and seeing my siblings and things grow up with it, it's not something that I really paid much attention to, because, it was so normal to me.
When do you think that you actually was old enough to understand that your mother's vision was somewhat different? Did you notice that?
When I went to middle school, KIPP, I think that's when I noticed it a lot more. And that was around time when grandma passed and stuff. So that's when I noticed it.
Okay. Now, and you share that with me, because that was a really different time in my life with retinitis pigmentosa, and I was not aware that you had even noticed that, because at the time that my mother passed, that's actually when my vision changed drastically. And that was when I lost a lot of my sight. And I tried to continue to be as you say, normal as possible.
First of all, thank you again for sharing, because it's so much information that we want to share and want to find out and let parents know, because there is another family out there. There is another Florence, and there is another Shay that is learning how to cope with this RP, or maybe not even know that they have RP. Florence, what would you recommend to a parent when they are coping or don't even know that RP exists? What would be your recommendations when they start seeing or noticing their children kind of being just a little bit off with their sight?
Okay, well, now in my opinion, as a parent who's always had retinitis pigmentosa, I've always been very into it with my children. Even as far as the day they were born, feeling my child, examining my child, looking for everything perfect in my child, as parents do. And you know, when children start growing up and you notice something going on with your child, as parents do, you notice that your child may not be doing things the way you, as parents, feel that they should, and not comparing children with other children, but comparing children with what a parent feels that where their child might be. I'm thinking, you know, that mine is a personal view, that if you notice your child, and not just with vision, but with anything, you notice your child is not doing things as you feel, of course, you take your child to see a doctor at an early age. Take them to see an ophthalmologist at an early age. Don't wait for signs of retinitis pigmentosa. Don't wait for signs that your child might be missing, seeing something or doing something. Just pay attention to your child and know that, okay, my child needs to see the doctor, my child needs to see an ophthalmologist, and go from there. You know, that's what parents do. That's what we do. And the thing is that, you know, and that's something too that I would even, as the show continues, I would like to ask Shay about, because Shay, even now, she's a parent, even though she does not have retinitis pigmentosa. She is a parent, and any parent is concerned about their child at any point, you know, when there's parents that are coping with any condition. Mine being retinitis pigmentosa, her dad being a heart transplant, and also coping with muscular dystrophy. So, you know, I'm sure there are concerns that even Shay, as a mother, might be coping with in her own mind right now.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so interesting, and we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk with Shay just about that. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline. Experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I use NFB Newsline when reading Hammond Northwest Times.
Using NFB Newsline, I read the Christian Science magazine. Dad, you read Jerusalem Post too.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Live the life you want. Read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
I want to welcome you back to our show. And without any further delay, I have a question for you, Shay. Shay, as a young person and many young people that are coming up now, what would be your recommendation to some of the children that know that both of your parents are coping with either a health issue or like retinitis pigmentosa that your mom is dealing with? What would be, what were some of the challenges for you, and what would be your recommendations for some of those children?
I would say the thing that I had to work on the most with it, and the thing that I would suggest that people work on with parents like that is patience. Sometimes there are times when, like, you want to go out, you want to do your own thing, but one of your parents, either or, might need your help, might need your assistance. And you got to have patience because, they're your family. They need your help. They need your support. They support you. So, support them back.
And Shay, you have been that support and mother to daughter. This is my opportunity to say thank you.
Oh, Mommy.
And the thing is that, I was talking to you about some of the things that you have done, what we have done. We sit down and have the family time where we're looking at movies and I'm listening to the movies, but you're my eyes and you're that great audio describer for me. I listen to you and say, wow, I can see so clearly what you're saying. And let's talk a little bit about that laser tag thing.
I'm like, your whole family can see. Your entire family can see and move free as they want. No, we're good. We'll pass.
Being a mother and knowing that retinitis pigmentosa is so dominant in the family, do you have any concerns about Ezra possibly inheriting that gene?
It's something I was concerned about more so while I was pregnant with him. But it wasn't something that I was just like, oh my gosh, like Ezra might have it. He might not. Like, it wasn't that big to me because it's something that I grew up around. So I'm like, if he has it, then we'll deal with it. And that's just the way that I try to deal with most things. I'm just, all right, we'll handle it, whatever. But definitely more so while I was pregnant. And now I'm just, going with the flow of things. Take him outside at night, see, if he's moving around, see, what he's seeing. And he does, he sees everything. And I'm like, all right, well, that's great. So, we just go with it. I don't really look at it as if it's a big deal for him because I'm just used to it.
You're used to it. Yeah.
Well, that is so valuable to hear and important to hear because so many parents just, one of the things I guess we don't really concern ourselves with unless our children just come out blind and you're told that your child is blind. When you take your child home, you seem to care more about if they're having these conditions, and being apprehensive and taking them to the doctors and ophthalmologists to be checked out for anything with their eyes. So as a mother and a daughter, you guys seem to work really well. Now tell me a little bit more about this audio description. What is audio description, Florence?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna let Shay tell you a little bit more about that because she does it so well.
Verbally describing things. So, for example, my mom and I, we would go shopping a lot. Like we would go thrifting. We love to thrift. So we would go thrifting together and we look at all these different materials of clothes. And there are certain materials that she just doesn't like just because of the feel of it or the texture, the material. So you could describe like, oh, this shirt is pink and the material is like, soft as fur, white and pink plaid stripes on there. If it has words on it, you might describe the wording on it, how the words look, what they say. You just completely go all in on describing that to the person.
So when it gets into the movies and things, how do you depict for her there?
Well, let me tell a little bit about that one there because she does that. For instance, every time, like when the person is talking on the screen, of course I know what they're saying, but sometimes there's something going on in the background. There may be a car that's moving slow past the scene, or there may be a baby lying in a corner of the room in their crib asleep. There may be a man standing over another man, and that part is silent, but it's important to the picture, to the movie. So that's basically what she does. And she tells me, okay, this person is doing this, and this person is standing there looking this way. There's a picture in the back that says this or that and the other. So the things that are important to a sighted person to see, she describes those things to me.
There's a movie I remember describing to you when I was younger. I was so young, I remember, but it was The Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis. Yes. I remember describing that movie to you because there was a lot going on in that movie, but I remember like describing like, oh, he sees like these people in the school just like, hanging up or he sees this person in his room, in a corner of his room, and it's dark, and they have like, a hole in their head. But, you just...
What I recall, though, one thing you told me about that movie that was really important was at the end, when the ring.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, it was I'm not trying to give the movie away, but there was a ring, and I said, okay, so that's what was really going on. But everything was so detailed that when she told me that told me about the whole movie.
Well, life is full of so many different adventures, and to have a child and that grows up into the woman, and now she's a mother, to still be there to offer any loving support as a daughter to a mother, and listening to you as a mother to a daughter. I have really, and I'm trusting that our listening and viewing audience has enjoyed listening to you both through the journey of facing difficulties, and all families do. And Shay, I commend you on that. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with the conclusion of our show. So stay tuned.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I am a CFP practitioner, and I happen to be blind. I rely on NFB Newsline to keep me current with Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
Well, welcome to the conclusion of our show with our special guest today, Shay Desiree. And Shay, do you have any parting words for our viewing audience?
Like I said earlier, have patience. Definitely pray. Prayer helps so much. And I know, like, your family needs help. Always support your family, but also support yourself. Take time out for you. Get your thoughts together, get yourself together to work on you, because that's going to help you better yourself. And being a better you is going to be better for everybody, yourself, your family, everybody.
All right.
Well, thank you so very much, Shay, and thank you so very much, Florence. Once again, it's always a pleasure to hear and see daughter and mother's love. So for the daughters and mothers that are out there, just keep in mind, you are appreciated and that you are loved. So stay tuned for our next show next week. Look forward to hearing from you and seeing you then. God bless.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.